Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back to another Good Morning Grief Devotion. It's your boy, Pastor Cray Allen Duncan Sr. here, grateful and thankful for this wonderful opportunity that God has afforded us to gather together and to lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural, normal, and necessary response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. That grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is how you reveal it on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. And that's why we shout good morning, because morning is a good thing. And I'm glad that you're with us on today as we lead you in a very special way in today's Good Morning Grief Devotion. Today, my brothers and my sisters, is day 153. This message is for you and for me. We're going to talk about grieving the loss of spiritual intimacy. Grieving the loss of spiritual intimacy. I think this conversation is so very important. We have to have it. Perhaps you experienced this as you navigated through your grief journal, your grief journey. But I'm glad for us to have this conversation right now. Grief doesn't just affect your heart, but it can shake your soul. You may find yourself sitting in church, singing the songs, hearing the prayers, but feeling numb, distant, or even disconnected from God. Numb, distant, or disconnected from God. This is the thing. You are not alone. There are so many people when they go through grief, when they go through loss, change, and transition, the loss of a loved one, or just going through life. Something happens in life. There are so many people, y'all. You got those that stop going to church, right? Mad with God, wrestling with God, upset with God. They stop going to church. They like, I'm done. I'm good. I can't. You got those that go to church, but when they go to church, here it is, because their soul has been shaken. I call it a faith quake. They've navigated through this faith quake. They've gone through this thing called life. Their soul has been shaken. So they still go to church, but they just sit. They sit there. They sit in church, singing the songs, hearing the prayers, but they feel numb, distant, or even disconnected from God. Numb, distant, or disconnected. Like God for real? Like this is where we at for real, for real. They feel some type of way, and then they have trouble really feeling and won't express it, because it's like, dang, how am I gonna be mad at God? And it's like, I just they this is that part where I talk about you got to wrestle. You got to go through the process to where you wrestle. Sometimes we got to wrestle with God, with our feelings. We got to wrestle with God, with what happened and what took place. We got to wrestle with God. We got questions. If you if you omnipotent, I'm not all potent, powerful. How come? Where's your power? Where was your power? Where was your power when Big Mama died? Where was your power when my child died? Where was your power when my spouse died? If you supposed to be shelter in a time of storm, you supposed to be a protector, you supposed to be all of this stuff we sing about. I ain't feel that. I don't feel that. I ain't feel that. You supposed to be healer. They say all this stuff. There's healing for your sorrow, healing for your pain. You the balm in Gilead. You the doctor that's never lost the patient. Well, you lost my big mama. But we ain't gonna talk about that. So I mean, what's up, God? These are the things we wrestle with on the inside. We may not articulate on the outside, but we wrestle with on the inside. So there's this disconnect, and we have troubles connecting with God. If you're supposed to be all loving and all of this stuff, the way they did my child wasn't loving, right? So like, and I'm faithful. I can see if you let it happen to one of these little Rudy poops out here. But I go to church, I serve you, I pray, I did all of this stuff. I don't think did none of that happen to save my child or my spouse or my job or my friendship or whatever the case may be. So there's this great disconnect that people have that we often don't talk about, right? But this is the thing, you're not alone. Loss has a way of quieting the voice of faith and amplifying the sound of sorrow. Loss will quiet that voice of faith, and it will amplify that voice of sorrow. The God you once felt close to may now feel far away. The intimacy you once enjoyed may feel like it vanished with your loved one. and you wonder, where did the connection go? Will I ever feel God again? Ooh, can I get a witness in here today? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Will I ever feel God again? Because I don't feel your presence. I don't feel your love. I don't feel it. I don't feel none of it. And will I ever feel God again? Mm. This is grief's unspoken side, spiritual disorientation. Not only are you mourning a person, you're mourning the closeness you once had with the divine. That kind of distance can be deeply unsettling. Ooh, I don't know if y'all ready for this conversation. I hope you are, because ain't nobody else having it with you. Maybe, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe you're having it. I hate when people say that. Nobody's talking about it. And it's like people talking about it. You just don't know. But these are the conversations. These are the things that are perhaps on your heart, on your mind, that you haven't talked about, you haven't dealt with, right? Because you haven't had the space or the opportunity to do so. Here's the truth, y'all. Even when you can't feel him, guess what? He's still with you. Not to sound cliche-ish, cliches are powerful. We just allow the familiarity of them to cause them to lose their power. But we always say, like, trust him when you can't trace him, right? But this is so true, because even when you can't feel him, guess what? He's still near you. One of my favorite stories, I say it all the time. I'm gonna spare you reciting it now, but it's the footprints in the sand. The man who felt deserted by God, unloved by God, during all them rough times. He only seen one set of footprints in the sand and thought God abandoned him. He was like, nah, I didn't abandon you. The footprints you see in the sand is mine. I'm the one that carried you through that. I'm the one that got you through that. I'm the one that brought you through that. Yeah, you thought I left you. I didn't. I sustained you. I provided for you. I opened doors for you. I made a way. You may not feel like it. You may not have felt it. But yeah, that was me, right? That's God. That's what God is saying. Yeah, that was me, right? He's there for us. He's still with you. God's presence is not dependent on your perception. His nearness isn't measured by your emotions. He remains faithful even in your silence. Even in your silence. Think about this. There's been seasons in my life where I've been a little silent. Yeah, side eye God. What I'm going through, what I'm dealing with, I'm a little silent. We throw temper tantrums. This is the thing. He remains faithful even in our silence. Even when we ain't spoke to him in weeks, months, for some people years. Even in your silence, guess what? He has remained faithful. God says, I know you mad. I know you ain't talking to me. But even in your silence, right? He still remains faithful. Even in your silence. He's not offended by your questions or absence. He's waiting patiently in the quiet, holding space for your return. Y'all not ready this morning. God is not offended by your questions. Can I help you understand something? God is not offended by your absence. God says, I know you feel some type of way. I know you ain't been to my house. I know you ain't called on me. I know. I know. But I understand what you're dealing with, what you're going through. And this is what I need you to understand. I'm waiting patiently in the quiet. I'm holding space for your return. I'm waiting for you to come back to me. And when you're ready, even if it's just a whisper or a sigh, guess what? He will meet you right there. This is your point of application, my brothers and sisters. If grief has created space between you and God, don't rush to feel what you used to. Just be honest. Pray simply, God, I miss you. I need you. Meet me where I am. Intimacy doesn't always begin with worship. Sometimes it begins with a wounded whisper. You might be wounded. Just whisper. Whisper to God, even in your woundedness. Whisper to God. Let him have his way in the midst of your life. Are y'all not able to comment? Can y'all comment? I know we had issues and troubles on the earlier devotion. I'm wondering if it's the same with this one. Drop something in the chat if you are able to. Today is day 153. I told you this was for you and for me, grieving the loss of spiritual intimacy. Grieving the loss of spiritual intimacy. If that's you, if this situation is you, if this describes you, I'm praying for you. I'm rooting for you, hoping and praying that that you're able to navigate through this. Nobody's dropping anything in the chat, so I'm assuming something must be off. All the shine to Benton. Okay. So it must not be. All right. Well, I hope this lesson was a blessing. All right. I see you, Miss Linda. Hope this lesson was a blessing to each and every one of you. I appreciate y'all connecting. Looking forward to being with y'all again tomorrow, same time, same place for another Good Morning Grief devotion. Let's go.